Okay, so exciting. Okay, let's see. Carrie's from Washington, Natasha from Finland. Oh, so fun. All the way from Finland, London. Hi, Fesca. Lynn from Switzerland. Hi. Hillary, Kentucky. Amy from North Carolina. Ariel for Toronto, Canada. Oh my gosh, we have literally like the United Nations here. Okay, Jackie's from Thailand and Scotland. See if you can be in two places at the same time. Marie in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Oh my God, I have a person from Iceland. Berta. I lived in Iceland for 3 months. Really loved it. Awesome. Pam, hi from California. Oh, thanks for waking up early, Pam. And thanks for sending me that email. For checking time. And Julie, you're stuck in traffic. So please, okay, just be safe. Okay. Don't want you to get in trouble. Just be safe. And then Michelle, Nevada, USA, by way of Canada. Oh, very cool. Melissa, Flagstaff, Arizona. Oh my gosh, there are so many of you. This is so exciting. Ah, look at him. Okay. Alrighty. Very cool. I'm gonna put the view on speaker. And Jody, hey, hi. Ooh, let me see. And Wendy's from Wisconsin. Sorry, I missed you there. Yes, Jody's from Virginia. Hi. My best friend actually lives in Virginia. Natasha says my physical body's in Finland, but my mind's at the beach. So I'm very warm. Oh, so funny. Yeah, you should come to Thailand. I would love one day to be, a peaceful world, no pandemic, everyone's happy, and I can host a big party here in Thailand. That would be my dream. Okay. Alrighty, so we're 3 minutes after, so everyone should be coming in by now. Who else is coming in? Yeah, Pascal, I'm so excited. I feel like I'm really coming out of the closet today. So thanks so much for coming with me today. It's such an amazing journey that I've been on since I started this work, maybe about 2 years ago. It hasn't really been very long. Hi, Rahima from Perth, Australia. I've been to Australia, but haven't been to Perth yet. So next time. So very cool. All righty. I thought maybe we can start with setting an intention. So let's close our eyes. So today, let's set an intention for what we want to receive and open our hearts to really call in all that we are ready to receive at this time, right? All the mindset shift that we need to have, and also release any limiting beliefs that are no longer in service, okay? And we're going to say goodbye to them, and we're going to say thank you to them for having served us. And we're also going to call in Michael, Archangel Michael, to protect us, and that make sure that the space is safe and that we are in this white bubble. And I'm sending in a lot of white light into our vortex here today, making sure that everyone is going to be secure and really come out from this masterclass a whole new transformed person. And so we say thank you, thank you, thank you, and so be it. Let's get started, shall we? Okay, so I want to say that as we are transitioning into a new time, right? This new time of transformation, of change, of growth, it's very important that we set ourselves in this place of open heart and open mind. So I want to really share with you this next level of money mindset change. And it's not so much that you have to do anything about it, but it's really about you accessing to that level of consciousness, really accessing the consciousness of money. So as you know, that I've done a lot of work in terms of channeling, right? The guys, and if you've been following me for a while, you know kind of how I've always done my classes. But channeling, right? I call it the channeling masterclass, but it's you really accessing the next level of growth, the next level of your connection with money, your relationship with money. A lot of people treat money as like a foreign object, right? Something really scary, full of fear, don't want to look at it, or if you're like me, I've always been sort of the avoidant type, like scary, don't want to look at it, just let's put everything into the drawer. But money is really about building that relationship, building that connection, building that trust. It's very, very similar to having a relationship, you can say in a romantic sense, or you can also say, in a friendship sort of way, right? Even building relationship with your children requires trust, it requires patience, it requires a lot of nurturing. So whatever way is the easiest for you to think about. Maybe it's easier if you think about money like a romance, or maybe it's easier for you to think about money like a friendship, or maybe it's easier for you to think about like you're nurturing a child. It could even be a cat. Okay, so but the idea is the same, is how do you connect with money, meaning consciousness to consciousness, right? There's your own consciousness, there's the consciousness of money, and it's not separate. Okay, if you don't get anything else from this class, really understand that your consciousness and the consciousness of money, they're not separate. They're actually just part of the same fabric that you call the universe. But right now, it's almost like you're hiding in one corner and money is hiding in this other corner, and you're not always communicating, or maybe occasionally you got to pay taxes. So once a year, you got to look at it. Okay, so but if you're always treating money like a very, very long distant relative, then it's very hard to build that relationship, right? Like you're not going to be very close to this long distance relative, because you don't really talk to this relative very, very often. But this relative is like, hey, I'm over here. I'm ready to connect with you. I'm ready to tell you everything you want to know about how to grow your bank account. If you would just give me a call once in a while, that would be really nice. So money is exactly the same way. Okay, and I want to really show you how you can go about doing that, and really, really accessing money in this way is to talk to money, to have that connectedness, okay, with money. It's really part of that same consciousness. So that's the number one thing that you really want to know about money, which is it's not separate from you. It's not somewhere really far away. It's not something that's scary. It's actually you can consider as a person, right? As a being that's really ready to give you all the help you need, give you all the tips, or show you how you can grow your money so that your life can go smoother. Maybe not everyone's inspiration is about, let's say, saving starving children in Africa, and that's totally okay. But your inspiration could be maybe around your family, right? Maybe you want to help your community, maybe just within your own geography, and that's all okay. So you all have a part that's very important. Okay, that's very important in terms of building up the consciousness and growing the planet, okay, and moving it in a positive direction. As you can tell by watching news sometimes, that things are not always going the right way, and you're wondering sort of where is the world going, right? Which direction is the world heading to? We say it's so important that you understand that you're actually moving in the direction that you decide as a conscious being. So as you're moving in that direction, you are starting to think, okay, so what I want to experience in my own life, what are the things that I really want to create in my own life, right? Because in a way, you have to start with yourself before you can go save like the world, right? If your tank is empty, then you're not going to drive very far. So that's why money is a very important element in what you call the three-dimensional world, right? Which is what you see right in front of you, right? The physical aspect of who you are, you can touch and feel, and that you believe wholeheartedly that exists. So, well, if you feel that you're out of control with money, then life is going to feel very much out of control because you're not really centered. But if you have a good relationship with money, it's sort of like having a good relationship at home with your partner, a good relationship with your children. Then the foundation of that family is very strong, correct? Like you understand that from a human's perspective. So I want to really teach you how to understand that then on a money level, because money is, you can treat it like a child, you can treat it like it's your partner, you can treat it like it's a friend, whatever way you can think of it, and you can access it by communicating with it often. So how do you channel money, right? It seems almost a bit far-fetched because, well, does money really can talk back? Well, once you start thinking money not as something that's foreign, like very, very far away from you, and really start to treat it like a person, then absolutely there's the energy of money, there's the consciousness of money, you can call it like a being of money that exists. And when you can tune into that consciousness, then you can have regular dialogue. So you may say, okay, so I'm talking to money, please show me the $1 million, right? Shower me with $1 million right now. So it doesn't quite work that way, but it's absolutely possible for you to connect with money to the point where money would just come in. to the point where you can on demand bring in money. It doesn't mean that you can just sit on the couch, okay? That's not what I'm saying. But it does mean that through some intentional and aligned actions, you will be able to bring forth the physical thing that you call money, right? The paper, the pieces of paper, basically, or the coins, right? Which then, of course, you see it as digital numbers in your bank account or cryptocurrency these days. So it can absolutely become some kind of currency that you then use to buy stuff, in essence. So how do you access it, right? Number one is that you have to start to think of it more as a person. Then you get to open up that mind a little bit. Otherwise, if I just say, hey, go channel the money and talk to money, it's like what I'm talking to thin air. It's not going to come as easily to you. But if I tell you, hey, just go connect with this person, say hello, then it's more tangible. So you need to think of money as a tangible being rather than something really far off, scary that I don't want to deal with. I'm just going to put all the bills in the drawer, right? So accessing that money requires you to have a bit of faith, just like everything else. Actually, everything that's scary for you to do requires you to have that next level faith, right? The faith which says, hey, trust me, everything's going to be okay. I'm going to show you where this is going. So I'm going to take you through step by step today, a process that you can use to really access this connection, this relationship, because it's always been there, but maybe for some of you, either it's super scary or it's been dormant, meaning it's almost like a really pretty dress that you've put in a closet and you haven't really ever taken out because you never have a special occasion to wear, and it's like sitting in the closet, right? So if you bring that dress out and you realize, oh my gosh, it's been sitting there for so long, I want to wear it sometimes, and I want to go find a party that I can wear it to, maybe go out to a nice dinner, then you start to, in a way, get to use that dress again, right? Have a relationship with that dress again. Does that make sense? So you need to consciously interact with this energy that you call money deliberately. Just like you would go to the closet, you would pick out that dress that you like and you put it on. You will find some nice place to go to, go to afternoon tea or have dinner. You would wear it, right? So that you can, in a way, you have a relationship with your clothes as well. So it's kind of the same idea. So here's your step one. Okay, what's the step one of accessing consciousness of money is you can do it through different ways. So when I say the word channeling, it's not like you're talking to some ghosts. Okay, it does not work like that. Okay, and not all ghosts to want to talk to you anyway, so you don't need to worry. It's really more about you directing your attention to almost like this collective pool of energy. You can even think of money as a swimming pool if that helps you. But I really think that, in a way, thinking of money as a really loving puppy or your child or your friend, it's easier. Okay, so step one is, okay, I'm going to decide how I want to communicate, right? Let's say you have a friend, long distance friend, you haven't talked to in a while. You can email them, right? You can call them, you can pick up the phone, you can text message them, you can do a lot of things. You can Skype them, you can use Zoom, you do something to connect with them, right? Well, if money is your friend, then we say it's like pick something. Does that make sense? Pick an avenue. You can do it through writing. Some people, it's easier. I started writing myself, but for other people, maybe it's easier to do it through a meditative process. You can absolutely do that. It requires a little bit of practice because you have to focus, right? You have to really concentrate. Otherwise, you sit there, it's just like, oh, blah, 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 random thoughts coming by. So you can do it through a meditative state, but I'm going to show you how to do it through a visualization. Okay, and you can use this visualization over and over again so that you can practice it on your own time. It will be the easiest way for, you can say, newbies to get started on the channeling process. Okay, talking money. So let's close your eyes. Just sit comfortable, and if you are driving, better not to do it right now because we don't want you to close your eyes and then hit a tree. So relax and be at ease with yourself. So number one, as you're sitting quietly in your own space, you're going to see a doorway open. And as you open this door, you are kind of excited because you hear noises on the other side. There's a party going on. And you're in a very pretty dress and you look really, really nice today. So you're excited to go in. You want to go check out this party. So you open this door. And inside there's this grand ballroom and it's beautiful and music is playing. People are dancing. And at the end, you see this really charming prince. And he's just chit-chatting with some friends and you're very nervous, but you're going to go talk to him. And you're going to glide through the dance floor and you're going to walk towards him. And you can introduce yourself. Say, hi, my name is. And he's going to be so surprised by your beauty. And he wants to talk to you too. He's like, oh, hello, my name is. And here is where you can give money a name. So let's say his name is Michael. So, hi, my name is Michael. And you say, oh, hello, my name is. And then you start to chit chat with him. And he says, would you like to have a dance? And you say, oh, I'd love to have a dance. I would love to have a dance. So you take out, right? You sort of put your hand forward and you say, yes, please. I would love to have a dance. So you two start to waltz together and you have a good time. It's a bit like a Cinderella story. And you just enjoy your romantic dance with this prince. And you say, thank you so much. I'm having such a good time. So he's asking you, so where are you from? What do you do? And tell me about yourself. And you start to tell him a little bit about yourself. You can say, oh, I'm from this town. My job is this. And then he's going to say, you know what? I can really help you with a lot of things. What are you having trouble with? Now, here is where you can share some of your stories about money. You can say, well, I would like to do this. I'm not sure how to do that yet. I'd like to maybe buy this house. I don't know how to do that yet. Well, I would like to grow my business. I don't know how to do that yet, but I would really, really like to do all these things. And my laundry list is so long. I have like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 things. He says, don't worry. We're going to get to every single item on this list until you're happy with your life, until you're satisfied, until you can manifest all of it and you feel that your life is completely fulfilled. And he says, yes, this is doable and I can help you with this. And you're like, really? You're a little bit skeptical, but he's a really handsome prince. So, and he said, okay, so item number one is this. So tell him, what is your item number one that you really, really want to manifest right now? And it has to do with money, but you're not sure. You're not sure how yet, right? Because you're always asking, how? Okay, you just tell him in a couple sentences, and then he says, okay, that's very interesting, but it's not hard. Now, let me show you what you need to do. And here is, you pay full attention to this prince. I'm going to give you a minute so you can listen to him. Pay attention. Music is still playing. Remember everything that he's saying. And he's going to tell you the one last bit. smile. You're full of gratitude, full of appreciation. You're so happy. You can't believe he just told you the greatest secret on this planet. And he told you what you need to be doing to expand your consciousness around money. You keep waltzing, waltzing, waltzing. And then the music comes to a stop. And you smile at him and you tell him, I had a really great time. Thank you so much for telling me your secret. He says, no problem, my princess. You can come back anytime to this party. And I'm going to be here and I will help you with every single item on your list. And we can tackle them together. And you say goodbye to this prince. And you're going to walk back through the door. And you feel so good that you just went to the greatest party on the planet. And you feel so beautiful about yourself. And you feel so positive about your life. And you just know that everything is starting to line up for you. And in your heart, you say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful for this evening. And I'm going to be right back. And with that, the door that you just closed is disappearing and melting. And the party noise starts to die down. But you know you can come back to this place anytime. And you can bask in all the goodness that you received, all the gifts you've been given, all the positive energy that you have just soaked up. And with a heart that's full of gratitude, you say thank you one last time. And you can open up your eyes. Just allow yourself to take a deep breath, drink some water. And know that you can come back to this place anytime. So what I just showed you is a really, really simple process of going into someplace fun, someplace that feels playful, someplace that's effortless. Who wouldn't want to go to a party, right? With your Cinderella ball gown. So make this your fun place. Does that make sense? Connecting with money isn't some serious business. Like you got to wear a suit and a tie and, Excel spreadsheet and look at the bank accounts. It's not like this. And because you felt in the past that it's a heavy duty thing, it becomes a heavy duty thing when it's not meant to be like this. So the prince that you saw in the visualization is very much an image of the money consciousness that you can access, right? And you can make it into anything, right? If you prefer to talk to a cat, or if you prefer to talk to a child, but you can always go back to this party and meet this special person that can help you with every single item on your list. So I want to share in the chat with me what you've experienced so everybody can see some of the things that you have received that maybe could help other people. So write them away. Carrie says it was so pretty. Natasha says party cat is a great idea. Well, thank you, ladies. Oh, Vanessa says, I was told to simply use my charm. You know what? Your charm is your energy, right? Your charm is your personality, like the way you talk, the way you express yourself, what you stand for, your value, like all of that is your charm. And I'm making sort of the assumption that perhaps it's hard for you sometimes to share all of you, right, with people. So if you're getting the message that, you're supposed to share your charm, it really means allow all of yourself to be expressed. Because what I often find is that people kind of hide parts of themselves, right? A lot of people have a really hard time, let's say, sharing the spiritual aspect who they are. They feel like, oh, this is a little bit scary and I don't want to say the wrong thing. But if you always hide this part of yourself, then it's almost like there's this beautiful light, but you're putting like bits of dark pieces of paper on it, right? But if you really can allow all of yourself to be expressed, then it's so much easier to create connections with other people, and it's so much easier to build relationship and build business that way, because people get to see your light. So charm is a very, very good word. It could also be your word for the year, is to really activate the charm within yourself. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. Hey, what else you guys got going on? Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta go back. Pascal says, keep showing up. Yes, exactly. So one of the things I want to say about that, keep showing up, is really, really allow yourself to feel that you can own your space, right? Showing up is not just like monotone, you just like repeat the same thing over and over, but really project your energy onto any space, right? For example, if you are doing Facebook Live, or you're doing Facebook group, and you could even be really tired sometimes, but your intention around it is very important. So you can keep showing up, but here's the trick: is you show up with like an extra oomph of intention, like really project your energy into the work that you're doing. Let's say you're writing a post, or you are doing Facebook Live, then it's like you want to consciously think about, I'm going to project my brightest energy while I'm doing this, let's say Facebook Live, and really project it out, because your intention is what really matters. So you show up, but add another layer to it, is to really allow your light to shine very brightly, so that other people can feel that oomph. Does that make sense? Because people are buying your vibration. People are not just buying what you're teaching or your words, they're buying your vibration, because they want to have that light and have that vibration for themselves. Okay, great. Amy says, I was told to put myself out there to network. Yes. So one of the things I want to say about networking is sometimes networking can feel a little bit icky. It's like, oh, that feels like not very comfortable. But universe has many, many different ways to connect you with people, right? I network all the time, but I don't think of the word network. It's more like net play. So if that helps you, right? Net play is it's almost like you're creating a web of playtime. You're creating playtime with a lot of different people, and that's going to help you so much more than thinking of it as networking, because networking, just the word feels a little bit heavy. You gotta like schmooze around, and no one likes to do that, right? But if you think of it as playtime, right, a web of play, then you're connecting with people, and you're just playing all the time. Just like when children are in the playground, they feel that they can play all the time, and that's what makes them so good at making friends. Is like you put a bunch of kids together, like within 5 minutes they're all friends with each other, right? Because they naturally know how to use play to connect with each other, even though they don't know each other, or maybe they may never see each other again. But children don't think about that. They're not worried about that. They're not worried about the result of the connection, right? Networking feels very icky sometimes, because there's always some kind of result that you're supposed to receive from it. But if you think of yourself as a child that's going to play in the playground for 30 minutes a day, then that takes the pressure off, and then there's no pressure. And then that would actually help you make friends so much faster and create that connection that you need to build your work. Does that make sense? So very, very good. Wendy, I have the perfect dress, and I met with my money paper Finn. I need to talk to him more often. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. I'm really glad you have a name for him. Finn, I like it. Rachel Merrill, the prince had the name of my grandfather. Oh, how cool. He told me to follow my heart and to honor the divine wisdom within myself. Yeah, that people will pay me for my knowledge if I keep sharing it. So one of the things I want to share about that, Rachel, is, yes, I'm going to be a bit esoteric about this. Remember, I just said your consciousness and consciousness of money is on the same fabric. So if the energy of your grandfather comes through, that it means that his consciousness is also on the same fabric. It's just that at this moment, when you're doing through the visualization, you're more open. So the consciousness of your grandfather can come a little closer. Does that make sense? Maybe because normally you're busy, you're going through, day to day, there are things to do. You may not always be, have the free space to connect. So on this fabric, you have money there, you have the consciousness of your grandfather there, you can access a lot of help, if that makes sense. Okay, so very good way for you to connect in this way. So keep practicing. Okay, very good. Jackie, make yourself visible to share your gifts. So make yourself visible is very similar sort of to the idea of networking. And I want to expand upon that just a little bit, because, networking and being visible and, marketing and all the other things, they're all kind of the same thing. It just means that you need to share your message out with the world for people to hear what you have to say, and for people to read what you have to write, for people to connect with you on a personal level, right? So making yourself visible first is really about opening your energy up. Now, there are a couple caveats here. Sometimes when you open too much, it's almost like when you hit this next level, you can even be already a millionaire, you could still have visibility issues, because to go from 1 million to 10 million, that's another jump, right? And that's you opening up your energy out again to a larger audience. And that can feel really scary. But let's say you're just starting out and you want to open up yourself to, let's say, a certain amount of people. That's equally scary. Does that make sense? Like every level, when you got to do that jump again, it feels like, oh, I'm jumping off the cliff. So I'm going to make this easier for you. And I'm going to give you a visualization to use. Is when you are meditating, you spend just 5 minutes a day meditating. What you can see is, right now, let's say you have a heavy jacket on in this, and it's kind of like one of those like winter jackets that you wear in like Chicago, like just all bundled up. And take it off in your visualization. Okay, take it off, and inside this, you're wearing a beautiful dress that you want to wear. Okay, any kind of outfit that you want to wear that makes you feel really, really good. It's like the party dress that you always want to wear. Okay, but then you don't get to wear it often because there's pandemic. Okay, so but in your visualization, you're wrapped up by this coat. Okay, and by the way, this visualization can be used by everyone. And I want you to take that off. Like just take off the little like hat, like unzip yourself. And then there's your pretty Cinderella dress or whatever other dress that you have on. It could be, if you don't like dresses, you can wear pants also. Whatever is like your thing, that you are now wearing the outfit that you feel really, really, really good about. So I want to share something about my own experiences. A long time ago, I had hired a styling company. This was when I was like 22. I was still like, my drawers were full of like college hoodies. I went to work with whatever, and I worked in IT. So I was just dressed like in a way that you can say not very fashionable. Okay, I didn't put makeup on, barely brushed my hair. I just ran out the door every day, basically, to go to work. And I was given the gift, actually, of meeting someone who looked really, really beautiful. And she happened to be an intern at the styling company. And I asked her, we were both stuck in a car compound. And I said to her, hey, I'm really, really stuck. And what are you doing? We got to wait for like 3 hours for the car to, basically get back the car. And she was like, oh, I work at the styling company, and we help people transform through, their clothes. So I was really intrigued, and I took her business card and I called them. I went to their website and I made an appointment. So they took me through this whole journey of defining what the style I would want to wear at the time that would be appropriate for the work that I was doing at the time, right? And instead of looking like a 22-year-old college student, which I still look like at the time. So I went through this transformation, and after this transformation was over, I was actually let go by the company in sort of like a weird, strange, synchronistic way, and they paid me a huge package of severance. And so I had a lot of cash, even though I was basically let go. But because this transformation started to force me to think about, how do I really want to look? How do I really want to show up in this world instead of just like this college kid, right? By the end of that transformation of that, with that styling company, I remember the secretary at the front desk, she would be like, you look like the VP of the company. You look so nice. And she would just give me all these compliments. And of course, I had no interest in being the VP of the company at all. It was totally not the right fit. But it gave me a sense of confidence, you can say visibility, that I didn't have, right? People really started to notice me. And you would say, well, but you got fired. It wasn't really a good thing. But it was a good thing because it put me on a very different path, like on a path that was much more aligned than working in IT. It's like, can you really see me working in IT? Like, it's just not my jam. There's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't my jam. So, but also just understand that visibility really requires you to, in a way, to be courageous. It's not just about like the fancy marketing and making a logo pretty and the fonts pretty. It's not just about that. It's really, you have to step up to become who you're meant to be. And that takes a lot of courage, right? And it's not something that's easy for people to do, myself included, because every time I step up to this next level, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody else is going to have to see me. So it could feel very challenging, but understand that this is the path that you're meant to walk on. Because if you don't show up, if you're not really truly who you are and authentic as who you are, then no one will really get to see the real you. And then you're always going to feel like you are doing the wrong thing. You're in the wrong spot, and you're wondering why things are not going smoothly, why you're not successful. It's because the alignment is missing. And the alignment, right, between the inner and the outer is what gives you that visibility. Does that make sense? So the clothes that I bought through that styling company, it wasn't just like, oh, I look really pretty now. It was like they connected me to this aspect of myself that could be the VP of this company, that is the CEO. Does that make sense? So it's not just about looking good. It's really about, it's like activating yourself. Okay. And you see me wearing this pink suit. So this was the guide's idea. It's because certain things allow us to feel more of who we authentically are. And you don't have to look like anybody else but yourself, right? Maybe pink is not your color, maybe blue is your color. So you have to find ways that really feel authentic to you, so that there is that alignment. Okay, so sorry, this is a very long answer, but I hope it benefits everyone to hear that, because visibility is a huge you can say issue, but it's only an issue because you're not quite in alignment with yourself just yet. And so that's something to work on, to kind of slowly reveal. Okay, it's not something to work on. It's because you're not here to fix yourself. You're just revealing the parts of yourself that you feel a little bit vulnerable to share. Okay, so do a little bit every day. Just do like a tiny bit, right? You don't have to like tell everybody your sob story, but do it a little bit every day. Then it becomes a habit. Okay, success comes from good habit. So if you want to be visible and successful, then you need to start to build these little habits every day to expand that, what you call visibility. Okay. Okay, awesome, Jackie. Okay, next comment. Tracy, hi Tracy. I had a great time. When I asked, I got a purple flame. Oh, that's very cool, but it disappeared and I didn't hear anything. I guess I need practice. Okay, so purple flame actually is a sign from one of the archangels. Purple flame actually can help you release a lot of blocks. So when you're seeing purple flame, don't panic, okay? Your house is not on fire. Purple flame literally is a sign from Zachiel, Archangel Zachiel, to say, hey, I'm over here. I'm helping you burn off all the resistance, okay? So if you don't hear a message and you see a flame, that's totally okay, and you're on track. It means that the angelic team is coming in to help you actually burn off your resistance that you may have to channeling or to accessing money. Does that make sense? So if you continue to see purple flame, what I would suggest just to sit there, relax, feel the warmth. Okay, it's not going to hurt your skin or anything, right? It's purple, it's not real. So just kind of bask in the purple flame and let it go as long as you need it to. Really allow it to burn off all the resistances. And when you see the purple flame, almost like set an intention to play with that flame. Be like, okay, I'm going to burn off my resistance and anything that no longer serves me. Okay, great. Okay, Vanessa says, I sometimes forget my good qualities. I know, I do too. It's like, don't know who I am. I'm hiding under my blanket, which was me yesterday. Natasha, I was told to talk about what I want to talk about and help people. Also that I need to create premium offer. So one of the things about creating premium offers or not premium offers, it's really, again, it's about matching vibration, right? Because believe it or not, it's actually easier for me to sell a $25,000 package, $50,000 package, or even $100,000 package than it is for me to sell something that's like $50. For some reason, I don't connect with that energy as well. And I'm not just saying to like brag or anything. It just I don't jam with it. So it takes a lot of like finessing with it. But to build business, you need to create that sort of journey, right? That journey for your customer. Let's say they buy something like I have my channel books, they're like what, $15 each. So there's something that you can read for $15, then you take them to the next thing, maybe it's like $50, you take them to the next thing, maybe it's $200, take them to the next thing, maybe it's $1,000. It doesn't have to be like a super long, okay? It doesn't have to be like 10 things. Maybe you just have something for $10, and you have something for like $100, $1,000, and you have something for $10,000. It could just be like you add a zero, okay, each time. So what's really important when you have the desire to connect and premium offer, then what you want to really think about within yourself is, okay, am I aligned to the price tag? When I feel that price tag, when I think about that price tag, what stuff comes up, right? You always have feelings. So when you think of it, there's excitement, of course, because it's something new, right? So it's very exciting. But what if there is also some fears that come along with it? Oh, I do feel a little bit scared. Like, what if people think that I'm an imposter? What if people think that I'm not good enough? What if I think I'm not good enough and I can't really deliver? So it's totally fine to have a high ticket offer, but again, it comes back to your sense of alignment. So then how do you get in alignment with a bigger price tag, right? What you can do is I will offer you kind of that swimming pool trick. Swimming pool is you don't jump into the ocean right away, right? You start with the baby pool, and then once you're feeling comfortable baby pool, you go to like the medium-sized pool, and then you go to like maybe the big adult pool with like the Olympic lanes. And once you get really comfortable, you can swim really, really well, then you can jump into the ocean with the sharks, right? So there's a reason why there's a show called Shark Tank, because that's what they mean. Because now you're jumping into like the ocean and there are lots of scary things. So premium offer just means, hey, am I ready to swim in the ocean now? So what I would suggest is visualize the pools, the baby pool, the medium size, large pool, and then the ocean. Let's say the ocean is like the fourth step. Okay. And what you want to really think about is, okay, the fourth step feels kind of a little bit far away right now. So maybe what I really need to do is strengthen my doggy style swimming. And then what you want to do is strengthen your, let's say freestyle. And then you want to strengthen like your butterflies, which is kind of a hard thing to do, right? What I mean by that is you want to get really, really, really comfortable with the, let's say, the lower pricing that you have and feel so solid in it, right? I'm a little bit opposite, so you don't want to necessarily follow my example, but everyone is usually going from, down and up. You should feel really rock solid. Like in your mind, that pricing, let's say you're charging, let's say $500 for something. It's irrefutable. You just know you give so much value. Does that make sense? So that your confidence is it's like, you got the baby pull down, okay? And then you move on to the next thing. You got like the medium pull down. You got the big pull down. So as you upgrade through the different levels of pricing, every time by the end of that experience, let's say now you're charging $2,000, and that's a much bigger price than the 500. You're like, I got it. Does that make sense? You should feel that strength in it and that confidence in whatever that you're doing before you move up to the next thing. It's a bit like building a house. Your foundation needs to be very strong. So you may ask me, well, so how do I do it? How do I jump to, let's say, a 5-figure package, which is sort of kind of what I did. And everyone is a little bit different because I'm someone who likes to buy big ticket things. Okay. It's a personal preference. If you follow me on social media, I love to buy expensive bags. Okay. So it's something that I feel really comfortable with, right? Because I feel in my own ability to spend that, it's not a big deal that I spend that, I'm going to make it back. So again, I have a very high level of faith. Some people would say that I'm a bit of a risk taker, and you can say that I'm a risk taker, but I take risk based on my faith, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not just randomly like going to Las Vegas gambling, you know. I actually don't really gamble, and I don't like going to Vegas to gamble. It's not really my personality, but I have very high level of faith. So I take big risks. I just bought a multiple six-figure package from a firm, and I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. Because I believe in my own ability to make money, like, and to really bring it back and then some. Okay, but I'm not saying that you have to do that. Okay, like, you don't need to follow what I do. Excellent. Lillimore, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. They make it funny. So I want to say fun is an extremely important ingredient in your connection to money. This is why I gave you the visualization of going to a party, right? I didn't take you to a bank or the accountant's office. Okay, otherwise I would have done that. I took you to a party. So in order to have a good relationship, right, with anybody, you don't want it to be heavy all the time. Think about like dealing with kids or even animals, right? Like, you want to play with them and be silly with them, right? Dogs love to play, cats love to play. Some cats, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them like to play. But children always like to play. You playing with them. Does that make sense? That's how you have a good relationship, build that trust relationship with your children. Same thing, you want to be playful with your partner. You want to be, funny and playful with your friends and have a great time, right? Drink wine and go out and do fun stuff. That's how you build that relationship. So that is a key ingredient, and it's very good that you've channeled to make it funny, because that sense of joy, and the more you do it, the more you get, the better you get with it. It's like you're going to take that plane, it's just going to take off. Does that make sense? Because now, instead of stress, worry, anxiety, fear, uncertainty, which is all these feelings that often a lot of people have, you're like, no problem. Money's fun. I have a great relationship with it. Again, you're accessing the consciousness of money and treating it like, hey, it's my buddy. Why? We always have a great time together. We don't do boring stuff, right? We always do the fun stuff. And you may say, well, what if I have to do like taxes? That does not sound like fun, right? Well, taxes could be from a lot of people. This is why there are people who are accountants, and you hand the taxes off to those people, right? But of course, it's good to have a sense of awareness of your number. When people think of money, taxes, it's always like, oh my God, it's like this thing that you got to do every year. But it only feels heavy if you haven't looked at it regularly. It's like, imagine you got to go see like your parents that you are like estranged, like you don't have a good relationship with them, but then Thanksgiving come and you got to do the family thing and you got to go see them once a year, and then people bicker right at the Thanksgiving dinner. It happens often. It's because there's no regular relationship with them. But if you call them regularly, you solve your issues with them regularly, then by the time Thanksgiving, it's just like, okay, it's just another dinner, it's not a big deal. So it's the same thing when it comes to like tax season, okay? Or anything that feels really scary. You got to go talk to the bank about the mortgage. If you are in a relationship, right? Again, you're talking to money regularly. You're using the visualization I'm giving you today regularly. You're having that chit chat all the time. You're looking at the statements regularly. You're looking at your bank account regularly. You're regularly having a relationship, just like you're regularly having a relationship with like your long distance relative. You just call them like maybe every other week and just say hello. Then it becomes really easy. Right? By the time of Thanksgiving dinner comes, it's like, no big deal. I just talked to you like last week. That makes sense, right? It's like, you're not going to be as scared of, oh my God, I got to go meet these people at Thanksgiving. No, you just talked to them last week. So it's not scary, but money is exactly the same. Okay. If you treat money as this long distance relative that you don't ever see, you're going to feel that way. You're like, I don't really want to go. Don't want to do it. There's that fear. Okay, so I hope that's really clear and it should feel really easy to you. Okay, excellent. Maureen, I was told to do the work I know I need to do, that I am on the right track, and I will receive what I have asked for. So if you're getting confirmation, then what you want to, it's like what you want to follow up is, in the visualization is, so tell me what's my next step? You don't need to know 10 steps, 20 steps, 100 steps. You just need to ask, what's my next step? Does that make sense? So you can continue that conversation with your prince. Okay. Okay, great. So I need to do what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, so what's my next thing? Then you get the next step, because all you ever need to know is your next step. You never need to know 100 steps ahead of time. People have a lot of fear about their future, because sometimes they feel like, oh my gosh, I got to do like 100 steps, and that feels really, really scary to me. But it's not about taking 100 steps. Does that make sense? It's you taking the next step, the baby step. Maybe that means sending an email to somebody, or sending out a DM, or writing a post, or whatever it is that you're doing. Let's say you have a business, or having a hard conversation with someone. That's often a really big one. You go do that. That's your next step. And then you're done with it. You relax. Then you ask what the next step is. Does that make sense? Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I need to plan out my 20-year life, and please tell me what my 1,000 steps are. It doesn't work that way, because life is fluid. It's constantly changing. Your energy, your reality is constantly moving. So sort of there's this idea of sort of the multiverse. Okay, it's almost like a video game, multiverse. Multiverse means you are in essence creating many infinite number of realities, depending on how you feel and what kind of decisions you make in this moment. So if you go to a psychic and she tells you, oh, next year this is going to happen, he's going to propose, and what if he doesn't? What if he changes his mind and he doesn't propose? It's very possible. Well, can you say she's a bad psychic? No, she's just tuning into the future from where you are now. But let's say a week later you had an argument with that guy. Well, now you just create a different universe. Does that make sense? It seems far-fetched. It's almost like a movie, but literally it's like this. You just create a new universe because you had an argument with that guy. Okay, then that new universe means he's not proposing. Okay. Hey, maybe he wasn't the right guy in the first place. So you're in luck. Okay. So never judge a situation. Oh, this is bad. This is good. It's not like this. Okay. We know. So it's kind of like, yes, you can go to the psychic, right, to predict, but how accurate it is, honestly, it depends on you, on your decisions every day, how you think. Like, you're in this class because you want to elevate your consciousness, you want to shift your relationship with the energy of money. So I'm teaching you this, and after this class, your energy is going to be tuned up, and if that makes sense, like you're going to walk away actually a different person. Well, that creates a new timeline for you, right? Immediately it creates a new universe for you. Does that make sense? So now it's like you then get closer and closer to the dream reality that you want to go. Let's say before the class you were a different person, now after class you're a different person. So this new person creates a different reality. That's really how it works. Okay, because you've made a different decision, right? You made a decision that allows you to go closer and closer and closer to your dream. Okay, so excellent. Yay, Maureen. Okay, Catherine. Hey, Catherine. Catherine is an amazing physical therapist, by the way. I got stop treating me like shit. But seriously, to stop ignoring it, then getting annoyed at it when it's not there. So it's because sometimes, yes, sometimes you don't just treat money like shit. You can treat a person like shit too, right? Like, because they're just annoying, you don't want to deal with them. Maybe it's an annoying coworker, somebody that you hire, somebody that you don't like. It could even be like your loved ones, right? Like maybe one of your kids, they all of a sudden can just turn into like assholes, and you're like, God damn it. Okay. So then at that moment you have you have an off vibration, right? With them. So money's kind of the same. Sometimes money's good, sometimes money's not good. It's like, how do you, at the end of the day, how do you maintain that sense of harmony with money? Because it's hard to do even with someone that you really love. Let's say your child, right? Because they can be really annoying little jerks. So, but money can also turn out to be like that, and you're like, oh my God, I don't really like it. And because there's that fluctuation. Sometimes, let's say you have an extra chunk of money coming in, sometimes you don't, sometimes it's like an extra chunk of bills. And this is why I talk a lot about faith, not in like the churchy sort of way. It's just that the faith is what keeps you going, right? At the end of the day, if you don't have it, if you have actually zero faith, your soul would literally just take you out. It's like, okay, you're done. Game is over. You don't have faith anymore, then you're done. Game is over. But the faith, right, the belief in yourself, in, let's say, a universe that supports you, that actually is what people call hope, right? You have hope for the future. Slightly different word. Basically, it's the energy that propels you to do the next thing. So how do you maintain that level of faith instead of like dropping it really low? Because what happened is, the reason why you feel the way you feel is because sometimes you have good faith. Sometimes the faith on a bad day, it goes to like 0.1, okay, out of, let's say, 100. You don't believe in anything, you don't trust anything, you're like, oh, this really sucks. You don't want to create that jump, that zigzag all the time, okay? You want to make it like a tiny baby wave. Like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, but it's more or less on the same range. Does that make sense? You don't want those like giant tsunami that goes up and down. And that happens to a lot of people. They have these giant tsunamis. It goes up and it falls down, right? And then all of a sudden they feel like they've been wiped out, like their happiness. And so money needs to just, it's like you just need to think, okay, money is like a little wave. Money is not supposed to be this like up and down, like giant Hawaiian wave, right? The surfers that go up and down. You want it to be easy wave. So on a day when you feel like you're not treating money well, or you don't have a lot of faith, then you actually want to think, I'm not interested in drama. All I'm aiming for is just this gentle wave. It means you're still allowing room for some fluctuation, right? Not everyone is going to be happy all the time. You're giving it some room. You're like, okay, I'm just going to making it a little bit of wave. And so when you're creating a little bit of wave, you're allowing yourself to feel, happy, and then maybe not happy. But it's not like a huge gap. Does that make sense? Like you have that range, and you accept it, and you make it okay for yourself to feel the up and down. But you're just saying to yourself, hey, we don't need to have drama. We don't need to feel like things are falling apart, because things are not falling apart. Okay. Even if they feel like they are falling apart, chances are, if you're living in sort of modern day, you're probably not starving, right? So it means your expectation, okay, for money should be like a gentle wave. Part of it is just that it's not that you're treating it badly. It's just that you almost like just expect the big up and down. But what I'm saying is expect it like a gentle wave, like just, warm, beachy vibe. Okay. We don't want this huge tsunami going on. So I hope that makes sense. It's your expectation that you need to manage. Okay. Excellent. Deborah, focus on happy feelings. Yes, happy feelings. So again, right, I talked about adding the fun. So that's very, very important. Julie, I was told to share my art proudly and with mind, body, soul connection, not with self-doubt. Yeah. So self-doubt is very natural, because self-doubt is just the ego coming up saying, hey, you're not good enough, let's perfect our stuff before we can show it to other people. But what I really would encourage you to do is what you really want is to feel that you can share a little bit, okay, like all the time. So rather than, you don't need to be perfect to share yourself. You just need to kind of regularly expose your art, because your art has healing power. And so that healing power allow people to feel, right, that healing vibration. So as you show the art to people, what they're feeling is actually the vibration of the art, which has healing power. So what you want to do is just, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just need that healing power to be sent out to the world so that it activates people. Does that make sense? Because at the end of the day, that's actually what people want to connect to. Okay. Yeah. Carrie, hi. Frank told me to play more bingo. Is that your cat? So yes, bingo. It's like you need to, because you're a really good student, right? And you know, I know you so well. You're such a good student that sometimes almost like that good student energy takes over, if that makes sense. She takes over and she just wants to be in charge all the time. But you know, and I have that. I've been a really good student, so I can kind of relate to that feeling. But I think it's important that, you know, the good student still needs a break, right? The good student still needs to have just like downtime, and the good students needs to have sort of that, you know, going out and playing with friends. So if you can sort of, this is what I would recommend for you. Let's say you have a chunk of to-do list, is that insert the fun. Does that make sense? Let's say you've got 10 hours blocked out for the day and there are things to do that you need to be doing, accomplishing, writing your books and all the stuff. But you consciously insert, like, it's almost like interject, right? You can interject something, but you're interrupting your schedule in a positive way. You say playtime, and that could be your bingo time. Does that make sense? Like you insert it. It's almost like you have to do that bit deliberately, because your MO is, I'm a good student, let's do homework. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's great. I'm glad you brought it up. Prince Frank. Oh, I love that. Not your cat. Okay, I skipped that. Lynn, I was totally relaxed. So, you know, Lynn, you are such a good, diligent soldier. So your energy is always about producing, which is good. It's actually one of the reasons why you're good at what you're doing. But you know, I will also say that the relaxation, it allows the brain to decompress. Let's say you take a nap for 20 minutes. The brain decompresses. And what happens is during that nap is the brain is reconfiguring, like all the neurons in the brain is reconfiguring different things. They're just like, they're rerouting, if that makes sense. Because sometimes you feel stuck. Everyone can feel that way. I feel that way. You're stuck in a certain situation. But when you can reconfigure, okay, the brain, by giving it that rest time, it doesn't even have to be a nap if you're not a nap person. You could just be going outside, right, for a quick walk, getting a cup of coffee down the street or whatever. You allow the brain to reroute. Because let's say a mailman is like off track. He's like going to the wrong house and he's delivering the mail to like the wrong neighbor. And he just keeps on going. He drives and he pushes. Then the mail is going to get delivered to the wrong house. And this is when a lot of people feel like, oh, they're stuck with a certain thing. It's because the mail has landed in the wrong house. Okay. But if the mailman pauses before he goes to the house, checks his GPS, kind of look at the map a little bit, relax, doesn't panic, then he's like, oh, I'm on the wrong street. It's not the 24th Avenue, it's the 24th street that I need to be on. Then he takes a completely different route, right? And then he lands in the wrong street, because that decompressed time gives you that space. It really gives your brain that space to reroute. Okay, so that's very important to know, because you need that space to reroute. Like, I get my rerouting space always in the shower. I get all my business ideas in the shower, you know, or on the toilet. Okay, so that's my decompression, and it's great. A lot of my ideas for my students, like in the Council Billionaires program, it's like I would take a nap and I'd be like, I gotta send a message to Carrie. You know, like I would remember that, and I would know, okay, I need to tell her to live to this. So the nap time is actually really important, like that just like non-doing time is very important. So then you figure out the solutions without having to figure them out, basically. Okay. Amy, hi Amy. I definitely have a wonky response to the word networking after watching my father. Big wig corporate guy. Oh, that makes sense. Schmooze all my life. It always came across as so disingenuous, and I have issues connecting to that. Yeah. So yes, net playing is going to be my new jam. Excellent. Okay, Rachel. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad it makes sense to you. Melissa, I was told to expect success and it will come, to not be ashamed of my own life. So the reason why sometimes people feel ashamed of their brightness, their intelligence, or their gifts, sometimes there's a little bit of childhood issues with it, but sometimes it's because you are really afraid of your own light. It's not just that like you're afraid of other people, you know, of what they think. It's that if you feel that you are so bright, let's say you walk down the street in like a neon yellow dress, right? And everybody's looking at you. You feel self-conscious. You're like, oh, I'm not fitting in. because you're programmed to fit in. Literally, you're programmed to fit in, and the not fitting in feels so unnatural. And I just want to say this, right, for people who consider themselves as light workers or champions of the world, who want to do good in the world, you are actually supposed to not fit in. Does that make sense? Like your standard should be, I don't fit in. That actually should be, okay, the word should be is not often used here, but you shouldn't fit in. Why should you? Because if you fit in, you'd be like everybody else. You'd be Joe and Bob and whatever. And you would just live a life like a robot, right? So you've all seen the movie Matrix. There's a lot of truth in that movie. So go rewatch it, okay, if you haven't watched it in a while. The Matrix, the movie, basically teaches that you are programmed in a certain way. You think you have free will, but you've already been pre-programmed. So by the time you get out of Matrix and you're like, oh my God, look at the machines, right? Remember the movie? It's dark and they're wearing like these dirty clothes. It's like, I don't want to wake up. That feels really scary. Now I got to wear like, these ugly clothes and live in a machine. Obviously, it doesn't work quite like that. But it's sort of like an analogy, right? The movie saying here's an analogy. Because once you are disconnected, being plugged out of the matrix, you are going to stand out, because now you're the one who sees the truth. And not a lot of people are going to want to hear you. It's like let's say you're on Team Neil, right? And then you're trying to help these people. And it's going to be really hard because you're like, that's really scary, right? And like one part of the movie, there's sort of the bad guy, and the bad guy goes back to the Matrix world and he's like eating a piece of steak. He said, well, I know the piece of steak is not real and it's just a bunch of zeros and ones, but I really like tasting it, right? And he's going back to the Matrix to fall back asleep. So then, of course, they killed him in the movie. But in a way, it's kind of like this. Once you wake up, you sort of can't really fall back asleep. And if you do, you're going to really suffer. So in order for you to bridge that gap of not being ashamed or shy or whatever word you want to use about sharing your gifts, it's almost like you should expect yourself to be wearing that neon dress. And that when people are giving you flags, whatever, they're saying mean things to you, it's like, it's none of their business. Because the people who are ready to read whatever you're writing on that neon dress, it's like they want to read it. They want to hear what you have to say and they're ready to see it. And even if they're just a little bit curious, but because you're wearing that neon yellow dress, they get to see you. Does that make sense? Maybe they weren't even sure. They weren't into whatever you were sharing before, but now because you're wearing that neon dress, they're like, I'm curious. I'm just going to go check that out. So standing out is a really positive thing in that way. Yes, there are going to be people who don't like you, but then you get to help those people who are a little bit curious and they come to your world and they get to benefit from what you have to offer, right? So really keep that in mind as you kind of go through your journey, because it's going to be super, super helpful to you, okay? Great question. Don't know who's iPad Pro 11. The prince came through and his name was clear and loud, Charles. Ooh, I feel his name has some meaning to my connection. So no, I would say don't worry about the name itself. You want to focus, what you really, really want to focus on is the message. Because once you connect to the message and you start to you can actually then expand the message. Does that make sense? You can dialogue with Charles. You can ask him questions. He says something you don't understand. You ask him to clarify. He tells you a method that you don't want to do. You ask him if there's another method. It's like you can play with Charles. You can talk to Charles. So that's what I would say, right? Don't get too worried about the name, but just have a conversation. Like talk as long as you want with Charles, okay? Rahima. Hi, I was told to dance every night and play waltz of the flowers music often. So people often would say, oh, there's healing power to music, and it's true because certain music has frequency, and if you play music that has a lot of dissonance in it, it actually can alter your brain. Like it literally can change a pathway. So people say, oh, better play Mozart music to babies, right? So it doesn't have to be Mozart, but Mozart music has a certain frequency that allows, basically what happens is you do play music often, right? From, let's say, when the baby's still in your stomach, and you're playing Mozart to the baby, then the baby is just accustomed to a lighter frequency. And if you listen to Mozart and music, it tends to be very light. It's not heavy, right? It's not Rachmaninoff. It's not these kind of crazy like rock music. It's very light music. It's playful because the person that used to be Mozart was a playful person. So he wrote a lot of light music, if you will. And in New Agey term, right? Like light is sort of like kind of this positive thing. Well, Mozart's music was very light in that sense. So, so you're saying play waltz music. Listen to some Mozart. That would be a good start. Okay, not everyone has to listen to classical if that's not your jam, but find music that gives you that feeling of lightness. Okay, so it doesn't have to be classical, but just find something that makes you feel that way. Okay, because let's say you're listening to like a really sappy song, then the sappy song has a sappy vibration also, right? But unfortunately, what happened is a lot of people, let's say they're really angry, they'll listen to certain, let's say, heavy metal music, and they connect to that frequency because it's almost like the music is talking back and acknowledging their anger. Does that make sense? So it's not a bad thing. It's not like, oh, we're saying bad, don't listen to heavy metal. Sometimes when you don't acknowledge your own feelings and you just don't know how to do it, you would be attracted to certain music that activates that frequency because you need to deal with it. Like you need to be dealing with that angry feeling, but because you're not dealing with it, it's almost like the music is doing you a favor. Okay, it's like helping you feel that feeling. So, but again, right, there is sort of that frequency, that transition of frequency. You want to go from the heavy metal to eventually listening to Mozart. Does that make sense? Because you want to adjust your frequency so that you start to feel lighter and lighter. And then the music that you listen to should reflect that change of frequency as well. Okay, so just a side note about music. Thanks, Natasha. She says Kings looks good on me. I like it too. Hi, Pam. Glad that answer makes so much sense here. And thanks for asking me about the time change. Ariel, I think I have a subconscious fear manifesting. Okay, as I started sharing my message, more visibility. Sorry. From a man who lives in my physical vicinity. I blocked, yet somehow found my work online. Won't stop. Oh, okay. So you're being harassed. All right. This is a long message. So you're being harassed by this person, so you don't feel really safe. So sometimes there are people that you can consider them as like the bad guys, right? Of course, from the universe perspective, no one is a victim. Even the murderers and the people who are murdered, you cannot actually say one is a victim and one's a perpetrator because you don't know what actually goes on in like their whole karmic pattern. So having said that, let's say someone is making you unsafe, and I experience this a lot as I grow my work. Random people message me all day. Like you have no idea how many people I've blocked. Okay, like that's part of my job. Blah 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 blah. And that is part of growing. So you do want to take some measures to protect yourself. Let's say if he finds you online, then you want to actively block them, right? But I want to teach you something about energy. You can do a couple things, two things actually. One is you can actively visualize yourself in white light all the time, in sort of a shield, right? It doesn't have to be armor, right? You know, we're not building a Great Wall of China here. You're protecting yourself, but this you will have to do it regularly, okay? Because you have to remind yourself to regularly shield yourself. Because if you unshield yourself, then obviously people can come and attack you. That's one thing. That will be done through intention. Basically, you don't have to do anything special. It would take you basically 5 seconds. But the second thing that I personally find to be more effective is people sometimes come and harass, let's say they attack or do mean things because they feel you being vulnerable. They feel your energy as weak. Okay, this is not a criticism. Okay, I'm not criticizing you. but they feel that you are like the nice person, if that makes sense. And you could very well be a very nice person. So then it's easy for them to, it's like push the buttons. They'll just push until they can find a way to, let's say, do something very unpleasant. What you want to do is not just to shield yourself, but to really strengthen your energy. It's almost like, I would say have some backbone, right? Like there's that expression, like have your backbone. What does that mean? Like think of the backbone, the spine. The spine is a very large part of the body. And ideally it's straight. But of course you see a lot of old people, they have like all kinds of issues. So the spine starts to curve. And that has to do a lot of stress, anxiety, emotional burden. That's why you see old people kind of curve down, because with time, they've been carrying these emotional burdens for years. Then the spine starts to curve. So what you want to do is see yourself having a very strong spine. Does that make sense? It's like, even if you have, let's say, not a completely straight spine, not everyone has a straight spine. Like I don't have a completely straight spine. Like I go to the chiropractor sometimes, but in your mind's eye, okay, that's what I mean. You should see yourself having a very straight spine. Means if someone comes to push your button, you're not going to fall down. Like you're very, very grounded in yourself because your spine is straight. Like think of it like if you sit up straight and you stand up straight and like your feet are planted on the ground, then you are very strong. Like that is a strong position, right? It's not going to be as easy for someone to attack you if you're in that position. But I'm really talking about like energetic speaking. Does that make sense? So you should see yourself practice this visualization often, that I have a strong spine. Anyone who comes my way, they're not going to be able to knock me down. They're just like bounce back. Okay. Right. It's like you see yourself as like this really buff person, and you don't have to be a very buff person, but your energy should be strong. Okay. And that's going to take some practice, especially if if you grow up or having been trained to be told to be a nice girl, all these things, sort of cultural brainwashing. Then it's going to be a challenge. But exactly because it's a challenge, it's something that you need to practice. Does that make sense? Because it's an area clearly that you need to expand, right? I hope that's clear. PM says, I didn't hear a message, but I feel like a warm, swirling energy, very comforting. So that energy it's almost like not everyone is immediately open, because you have your conscious mind. So it feels really scary to go someplace you don't know, even though I'm inviting you to a party, okay? Because it is scary to go to a party. But when you feel that, because what's happening is that energy saying, hey, don't worry, it's going to be okay. Like the energy saying, hey, be safe. Like you're not going to any place scary. We're just going to a party, because maybe you don't want to go to the party yet, and that's okay, right? So what you really want to practice is always practice feeling safe. And again, that has to do with money, right? A lot of people don't feel safe with money. They hoard money. They control money. They try to manipulate money, right? They do a lot of things to grow their money, but it's not working. And a lot of it comes from fear. They don't feel safe. They don't feel safe to have that easy flowing, easygoing relationship that you would normally have, let's say, with a friend. So that sense of safety is something, it's an emotional state that you can practice regularly. So if you go in there, you don't hear anything, that's okay. So then practice feeling safe. Does that make sense? Because that safety is what will get you over the hump in terms of all the other fears that you have that's related to money. Okay. So thanks for sharing that. Candace, hello. I'm having trouble aligning myself with putting together premium offer. Oh, I think someone else also asked that. I think Natasha asked that, right? Working through resistance with being visible in my business and be a face in the industry after having a big business failure. Oh, okay. So you have had a failure. So one of the things I want to say about failure is everyone fails. It's like you cannot possibly go through life without failing. And it's not to negate like the experience that you have gone through or making it small, because it could be very traumatic. Your goal with every failure, like I had a very unsuccessful launch. Okay, not only did I not make money, I lost money on it. It was very frustrating, and because that's sometimes part of the process. And one of the things that you can do is okay, there's the opposite of what you want, which is the failure. Then you should make a giant list of all the things you do want, right? How can it be easy, right? What is like the fastest way to get what I want? What is something that I feel like I want to do? It's like I had a big fat failure launch, then I had another launch, and then the next launch I was like, I'm just gonna make it super easy. I'm not gonna even have a sales page, and just super easy. Okay, I just want everything to be super easy because I now can define what I really want, and especially the feeling that I really want. The feeling that I really want in my business is it needs to be easy. It just cannot be complicated. It cannot be a lot of work. It cannot be like hustle bustle, all day long. I just, I want to go out, go to the gym, see my trainer, and go eat cakes, do my usual. So it has to be that feeling is I'm looking for that feeling of ease and grace, right? After I had my failure, I know I don't want that. That was really stressful. And I failed because it was stressful, not because I wasn't smart, like I'm still the same person. My capability is the same. Well, why did I have one failure and have one success, like, kind of back to back? It's because my emotional state was not correct. Does that make sense? Like I was off. So sometimes the failure comes from emotional states that you have not managed. Again, it's not your fault. Okay, it's not about blaming yourself, but it is about learning. It is about processing, right? That failure. It's like, okay, these are the things I really, really didn't like about what I did. So then what are things I really, really do like? It could be a list of physical actions, but what's really important is what is the feeling that I want to have in my next business? For me, it's ease and grace. It has to be ease and graceful. I can't do anything else if it's hard. I gotta take my naps, I gotta take long showers. I have a lot of requirements for how I want to run my business. So it's almost like you need to set a different standard. Does that make sense? And that would make it easier for you. Jody! It sounds silly. I end up leaving the dance because all I was seeing as the prince was my hubby. Don't worry, your husband is very handsome. I did dance with him and it was lovely, but he didn't have a ton of answers for me. So I found myself at the beach. Money was walking down the beach to me. We reconnected. He sat next to me and reminded me that money is here for me, just like the sand in my toes, the ocean in front of me. Oh, that's really good. It's just as vast, as easy to enjoy. He invited me to continue practice my receiving muscle, allowing more ease and support in my life, like yin yoga. Oh yeah, massage to bring in more energy and receive it with greater ease. So, one of the things I want to say is, yeah, because your prince is your husband, right? You have such a good relationship, so that might not work. So it could be something else. And if that imagery works for you, right, that kind of stand on the beach, then it's a little bit easier, and that's totally fine. You can definitely visualize it that way, because I'm just giving you one way of accessing it. There are a million ways of accessing it, and that's something I'm going to be teaching you in the next course I'm going to be offering. But I'm going to address a few more of your questions, and I'm going to get to that. So in a way, money is always available to talk to you, and it's about receiving, but it's also about receiving like let me sort of paint a picture. There's let's say big span of just like a map, and on this map, this timeline, you can say there is a period of receiving, then you insert aligned action. There's a period receiving, you insert aligned action. There's a period receiving, insert aligned action. It means the receiving energy and the aligned action, they sort of have to go hand in hand. Does that make sense? You cannot just do, because again, I talked about that gap. You need to give your brain a break. So you can consciously be in that receiving energy. And then when you sort of almost like done with that receiving, then in the middle of it, you can then insert aligned action. It doesn't mean that you just sit there and you're physically at the beach and do nothing. You could be at the beach and then you feel like an inspiration. I need to send a message to somebody and I need to do this. Then you insert the aligned action in the middle. Does that make sense? Like you're relaxing, you're at the beach, you're doing what you need to do, but then you have an idea. Execute it right away. Okay, like don't wait, because sometimes when in that receiving space, ideas are supposed to come, action steps are supposed to be coming to be shown to you. You want to do it right away, because if you wait, then what happens is you start to doubt. It's like, I'm not sure if that was real or not, or maybe I'll wait until I get home from vacation. And like that, you lose that momentum. So what happened is you're actually not bad at receiving at all. You're pretty good at receiving, but it's almost like you haven't inserted the aligned action. Does that make sense? So you want to make sure that you're always inserting that aligned action. So I hope that's clear. Yeah, and then kind of just do it, like use that spurt of energy. And that's my biggest issue, avoidance. Yeah, you know, I actually used to avoid money all the time. I just used to avoid money all the time. Like I would just not look at it, and then my credit card bills would just pile up, pile up, pile up. It was not. It was actually until I met my boyfriend now, who is literally the opposite of me. Okay. He'd be like, hey, let's take a look at what's going on. So I think that's when I finally started to, I was kind of forced to, honestly, because of him, to deal with money. And then when I really started to run the business, like take it seriously, one of the things I asked the guys, you know, before I was training the guys all the time, you know, I said to them, so should I have a budget? Like, should I, you know, like write down and keep track? And the answer is no, because if you have a budget that's very rigid, you know you're not going to follow it. So, you know, what I really want to say to you is like, you can definitely have some organized way of, you know, managing your money. I honestly just wrote it in like, you know, like a notebook. I had a pen, I had receipts, and I'll just write it down in my notebook. That's how I literally started having a relationship with money. Because I hated Excel spreadsheets. Like I hated the squares, the rectangles, you know. But the notebook didn't feel as scary to me. So, you know, you have to find some ways that feel easy to you. For me, for some reason, it's just easier with a pen and paper. I don't know why. Of course, now I've transferred a lot of my stuff onto the Excel spreadsheet because my list just gets longer and longer, right? Like as I grow my business, my expenses get longer, but my income, like that section also grows bigger. So like I can't just write everything down on paper like every day, you know. But that really helped me kind of get going, you know, to not avoid money, because then every week I had a money date. Is like on my calendar, money date, and I would do something about it. I would take a look, at least the receipts. You know, like a lot of times we don't even look at what we buy, you know, or sometimes I realize, hey, they charged me twice. Why did Google charge me twice? You know, whatever. If you don't notice it, like if you never pay attention, then you're never going to notice it, right? So you gotta look. It doesn't mean like you gotta be there all the time, like staring at the bank account, but you know, start with once a week, just to kind of build a habit. And like now I don't need to do once a week. I just kind of do every other week. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Okay. Michelle, I'm enjoying teaching today. But I have 1 minute, okay, and I'm going to transition to the next part. I'm enjoying the teaching today, but when I decided to participate, I was responding to an email. So it's okay. Accessing the money consciousness and Akashic records in essence is the same. Remember, everything is part of the same fabric. Okay? It's hard for you to really visualize that. It's actually very hard for me to describe that. So, but channeling, let me just actually explain channeling. Channeling is meaning you're opening the door of your consciousness and connecting, like walking to the door of another consciousness that's on the same fabric. Let's just say in the same neighborhood. So they're not really far, okay? So when you are accessing, whether you're accessing money or you're accessing Akashic records, they're just different doors. Does that make sense? It's like the same process, okay? It's the same process. So you can absolutely go in and access the Akashic records. It's just that you're pointing your attention, you're pointing your focus specifically on the records. Maybe you want to ask something about your past life. Maybe there's something else you want to. It's the same. So if you think of them, if you think of everything as separate from yourself, that's when you really get into trouble. This is why your world is still having wars and conflicts all the time, because people continue to see themselves as separate from everybody else, right? They don't see that, hey, that's my neighbor. Now, why does it matter that they speak a different language or wear something different? Like they're my neighbor. But so what I'm saying is that, you know, it's really the same process. You're just tuning your focus, right? Again, you can go into meditation, but what you're asking is, my intention is to access the Akashic records and show me, right, the imagery that I need, the words I need, right? Maybe a song that I need, a movie that I need, and you just wait and see what comes out. Right? You're tuning. What you're doing is you're practicing this of if walking over to your neighbor's house. That's the simplest way of putting it. Okay. So if you want to access the Akashic records, that's that door. If you want to access the consciousness of money, that's that door. But they're all in the same neighborhood. Okay. So it would take some time practice, not an overnight event, but give yourself some space, right? Okay. Catherine says, thank you. You're welcome. Yuriti. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi. So good to see you. Alrighty. So what I want to we're about an hour and a half in, so I don't want to keep everyone here too long because I know everybody has things going on. I'm going to move into the next part, which is explain what I am going to be teaching and offering in the upcoming, you can say period, next 6 months. So I have a kind of extensive program. So first of all, I just want to say that I no longer really offer one-on-one anymore, right? You can't find it I hide the calendar, okay? Because I'm really busy. I really only give a lot of the private time to my students and Council Billionaires because, they're devoting a lot of, their attention, right, to their work. So this program is going to actually involve some one-on-one time with me, which is you're not going to get anywhere else. Let me just put it this way. I am creating literally channeling wealth, a channeling wealth program where everything that I teach you today, it's going to be like multiply by 10, multiply by 100, multiply that by 1,000. I want you to be so comfortable with accessing the energy of money that it's just like, it's like your friend next door, your pet, your lover, whatever it is, right? However you feel like is the easiest relationship for you. And this program is going to teach you how to do that. It's really connecting to that sense of flow, right? That sense of ease and grace that, I myself am always looking for. And I hope that you can also experience instead of that constant thinking, right? That constant, like, I got to think about what I need to do next. I got to, there can be a really, ease and grace to the process, what I said earlier, that receiving with inserted aligned action. But then you have a lot of breaks, like you have a lot of time. Like I don't work 40 hours a week. Okay, I work maybe 10, 20. Okay, during lunch period, I work a little bit more. But otherwise, my day is really flexible. But I just feel like there's kind of this need, within my audience that, let me put it this way. I'm here to kick your butt, okay? Because you need some ass kicking. Because there's a lot of resistance, right? There's just a lot of resistance to that, to getting over that hump. Because maybe somehow you feel like maybe you're in a space where it's just not moving, things are not going the direction that you want to go, and it's slow. And for me, I don't do things slow, as I don't have a lot of patience. So if you're like me, then just so this is going to be a program that will help you make that leap, right? I don't want to overly use the word quantum jump, and I actually want to explain what quantum jump means to you, from the universe perspective. Quantum jump is like if there's a piece of paper. I'm going to use my notebook as an example. You can fold. Let's say this is the line, and you want to go to, let's say, this line, this spot. You can fold a piece of paper, meaning without using time. Okay, you can just go from here, this state, to this state. Okay, does that make sense? It's like this point is touching the other point. This is going to be the best way you can understand it, and it's very hard to visualize it. So you can use like a fabric, for example. Like this is my tablecloth. They touch each other. You fold the fabric, and they touch each other. So quantum means without using time, you can collapse the fabric, you can fold the fabric, so to speak. That's actually what quantum really means. Okay, now how do you create that quantum? Because quantum seems like, well, we still have time. There's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. It doesn't make any sense. Well, quantum really means that once you get so comfortable with channeling wealth, you can access that state, just like what I just showed you, folding the piece of paper, like folding the fabric. You can access it immediately, meaning you're calling it to you on demand, right? Yes, with physical action, you can't just sit on the couch, right? Like for me, money is easy, but I still do stuff. It's not like I just sit there, right? There are things that come to me, ideas that come to me that I implement. So But the quantum part is the part that I want to really teach you. And it's not like an exaggeration when I say that you can really collapse time and not feel like you're always chained to this thing that we call time, right? Because we're always looking at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So we think that, oh yeah, in order to achieve 6 figures, it's going to take me, let's say, 2 years, because that's what everybody else in my community has done. In order to achieve 7 figure, that's going to take me 3 to 4 years or 5 years, because that's what everyone else. No, the way you create, the way you think about creating right now is based on the steps, like A, B, C, D, E. You're following that trend. But remember what I said earlier about the neon dress, right? You're going to stand out. So you're not going to be following ABC. You're going to go from A to C to F to J to Q and to Z. Does that make sense? Like you get to skip the time, if you will, because you don't need to follow it. You literally don't need to follow it once you understand how to fluidly access that consciousness of wealth, which really everyone has the ability to access it or not. The question is, how resistant are you? So maybe the next question that you should have for me is, okay, but what if I have a lot of resistance? Okay, is this going to work for me? Remember, your resistance is part of the game, part of the challenge, right? It's like when little kids play their computer games, there's always a next level challenge. But the resistance isn't bad. It's showing you, hey, these are the current fears that I have. These are the blocks that I have. I don't know how to move forward. So what do I need to shift within myself so that the fears sort of melt themselves? Okay. And it's very actually possible, okay, to melt the fear. Well, you may see, but I've had this for 25 years, 45 years, 65 years. But if you allow yourself to collapse the time, then as you're skipping time, in a way, you're kind of skipping fear as well, okay? Now, I'm not saying you should bypass your emotions and you shouldn't feel anything, because that's not what I'm saying. I want to clarify that. You're still going to feel afraid. Things are still going to come up. Okay, that's sort of, you can say, a normal human experience, right? To have these doubts. But as you access regularly, right, this quantum jump, and you're accessing regularly this consciousness of money, consciousness of wealth, then your vibration is going to be getting closer and closer and closer to the vibration of wealth than the vibration of lack. Does that make sense? And it's not an overnight event like, oh, you're going to do this tomorrow. Okay, I'm not promising. Okay, this is not a get rich quick scheme here, people. But as you do this regularly, and I'm going to be holding you accountable, like you're going to have one-on-one with me once a month. I'm going to make sure that you're following and doing your homework. So you're accessing that consciousness regularly. So your vibration aligns further and further and further to what you really need to be doing, right? Align your dream, the dream state, whatever dream state, right? For some people, they want a bigger house. For other people, they want a nicer car. For other people, they want to have great family vacations, so send their kids to private school. You all have different versions of that dream, and they're all valid. Like you should want to experience more in life, right? And it's not to say you should be like, it's not like you should be a saint or a monk. Oh, I'm a good person, therefore I don't want anything. No, you're here to experience life. So all your desires, however frivolous they may seem to you, they are valid, and you should honor them, right? Like I eat cakes all the time, and I'm glad my hobby is not too expensive, but it's a very frivolous activity. So, but you should honor what is your thing, your desire, right? So, and that's part of the work that we're going to be doing, is how do you release that resistance so that you can skip the letters, not going from A to B to C, but A to C to F and Q and Z, so that you're jumping over the hoops. You're not like, you don't have to always go through every hoop, right? A lot of time, the way we are trained as human beings, we go to school, there's grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. There's so many grades, right? Like, and you have to pass so many tests and quizzes all the time, do homework. In a way, it's damaging. Like I would consider myself as someone who's educated, right? I was a private tutor. I went to one of the best schools in the United States, did grad school, fairly educated. more or less. But I had to do a lot of undoing, if that makes sense, to get me out of that thinking. Okay, freshman year, okay, sophomore year, okay, junior year, senior year, and then you gotta just do the ladder. But once I understood how to access a different consciousness, then I don't have to do the ladder, right? A lot of you have sort of seen me grow because I really practice this. Like I practice this on myself. Like I'm not just saying, oh, you should do this, but I don't do it. Like I have to practice this every day also, because it's also part of my own process. But because I am always like channeling wealth, I'm doing this all the time. I have money conversations all the time. Like it's my neighbor. That's the best way to put it. Okay. It's my neighbor. It's like next door. So if I want to create a chunk of money, it's like I would just be in my shower, download ideas, and I come out, implement it, like literally the same day. I don't wait, if that makes sense. Like I really don't wait. I'm like, oh, let me think about it, sleep on it. No, I have an idea, I execute it, because I'm used to that flow now. And I wasn't always like this, like really, like in my 20s, student loans, after student loans, credit card, after credit card debt. And then just like, I was the avoidant type, just like, don't want to look at it. So I'm really familiar with also that state of fear and uncertainty and doubt, because I sometimes would just be like, I would like make my rent. Like I lived in LA, I would make my rent. I was like a grad student, it was like $1,000. And then after I paid $1,000, I would have like $5 left in my bank account, So that really was me. Like I just made it paycheck to paycheck, and I was comfortable with it. Like really, it's like, you think about it, it's so uncomfortable. You're like, how can I live that way? But I was comfortable in it. It was like, there's like adrenaline, like, oh yeah, I just made my rent on time. I can't imagine living that way ever again. But that was who I was. So it was not magic, right? It was a process that I practiced until I got comfortable with it. So this is something I really want to teach you. And for me, a lot of the people who used to be really, really wealthy had this kind of knowledge, like they really did, but they would hold the knowledge and they wouldn't share with anybody, right? Because their thinking again was still coming from that perspective of, I want to be dominant and control everybody else. But I have this knowledge and I want to share it with you, because my perspective is, well, if I share with you, you're going to share with other people. So it's like, there's more to go around, right? I'm not thinking if you make more money, then that's going to make someone else have less money. It doesn't work that way, because the universe is expanding. It means that the pool of wealth is expanding, like the energy of money is expanding. Okay. It's hard to think about it in terms like math, but if you think about it in terms of an expanding universe, then it makes sense. So as the universe expands, the consciousness of money expands, the amount expands, so more and more people can become more abundant, in essence, right? It's not that you earn more than you're going to take away some from someone else. It's not like this. In fact, it's very important that you understand that as you activate your own wealth, you're immediately activating someone else's. You really are, even if they're resistant to what you're doing. But with a bit of brainwashing, okay, over time, they start to open up. Like you just need to open up their door like a sliver, right? But they're not going to do it by you lecturing them. They're going to do it because they're watching your example, right? Just like with children, they're not going to listen to you just because you're yapping at them about doing homework or whatever, but they're going to model after you, and they're going to model after your vibration. Okay, so I hope that's very clear. So I wrote down my little notebook, all the things I'm supposed to tell you. So I don't have slides, guys. Okay, so in my notebook, okay, 6 months channeling wealth. There are going to be 12 bi-weekly sessions, and then 6 sort of floating Q&As that I'm going to add to it, so you guys can come and ask me your own questions, and then 6 30-minute one-on-one sessions. So that's once a month you're going to do one-on-one time. Again, you're not going to be able to find it anywhere else, okay? Because I really don't do that often. So this is a program that I feel inspired to do. So that's what I'm offering. And then some of you asked me about channeling Akashic records. If you want to channel Akashic record, it's fine. I'm going to throw in a course in there for you for free. You just go watch it, and you can then start to kind of see the parallel. Okay, everything that I teach you, you're going to see it in the channel course. It's going to be quite similar, but it's just more extensive, right? again, you got to learn through repetition, like that there's going to be some repetition involved. So, don't feel like, oh, I need to be a shining star by tomorrow, but understand that it's going to be a progression, but it doesn't need to be a progression that's slow. Okay. I hate slow. I can't stand slow. Okay, so pricing, it's going to be 4,997 in full. There's two payment options. One is 997 times 6. The other one is 555 times 11. Okay, so after I'm done with this masterclass in a couple hours, in 3 hours or so, and the replay would be sent to you, and then we're going to fill in all that information. So that's my sales pitch, people. Okay. Hope you wrote everything down, and DM me. That's going to be the best way to connect with me. So you can ask me questions if you have concerns, you have fear, you don't know what you're doing, don't know how to afford things. Again, I can help you work through a lot of these like mental chatters, and again, like the fears that come up. It's really normal. Like, don't be afraid just because you feel this like butterflies in your stomach. Like, I felt a lot of butterflies before coming to doing this masterclass. I was like, oh no, that feels so scary. So I always felt a lot of fear. Like, I used to be a concert pianist when I was young. I always felt a lot of fear, like every time to get on stage. So even as an adult, I'm glad I'm not like walking onto some platform. It's just Zoom. I remind myself, just Zoom. So, when you have fear, like what you should feel as you're listening to me offering this program is, well, that feels really exciting. You should feel that. And if you don't feel exciting, like there's no excitement, then this is not for you. Okay. Like, if you're not excited, like that is not for you at all. But if you, oh, this feels really exciting, you should feel kind of like that, like when, if somebody says, you want to go like shopping today, or you want to go, go to the park today, you want to go for a hike or something that you love to do, you should feel like, oh, that sounds really good. You should feel that feeling, because that feeling is an indicator that pulls you forward, right? But if you don't feel that like spark of joy, like Komari says, like Marie Kondo says, then like you don't need to do anything. You can just leave. Okay. No hard feelings. I won't take it personally. But always follow your own sense of feeling. Does that make sense? Because your own sense of feeling, that calling, that excitement is what calls you forward. And that's always the right indicator. Like, that's the kind of feeling that I get in my shower. Like, literally. I was like, oh, I'm really excited about something. And I jump out of shower, like butt naked with my towel. And I'm like writing stuff down, because that's the feeling that you want to follow. Remember, and your brain can come up with a lot of reasons why you shouldn't do something, because that's its job. It's supposed to keep you safe. It's supposed to say, hey, there's the fire, don't walk in there, like don't go towards that direction. Like, there's always going to be that sense of protection. But remember, follow the calling, right? Follow that sense of excitement, that spark of joy. And that has to be, that's not something that I can tell you to feel, right? I can't just dictate that to you. That's something that you yourself would feel if it feels like it's something that's in alignment with where you want to go in life. So that's kind of my best advice in terms of your decision, whether you want to join or not. Again, just come and reach out to me via DM. That'll be the easiest, or you can email me, just reply to any of the emails I send you. That's fine too. Alrighty. Thank you so much. Okay, it's almost 2 hours. Okay. I'm glad I started a little bit early. It's actually almost 11 p.m. here in Thailand. I'm sorry I didn't get to read through all the comments. But I'm so glad that you all came. It has been a fantastic experience for me personally, because like I said, I was really scared. But Jay, my buddy, Jay, aka Jesus, who's my buddy, he's like, don't worry, we got this. We're gonna have a great time. He's very funny. He's a really, really funny guy. And I didn't grow up as a Christian, so I don't have that same kind of like reverence towards him like most people. He's my friend, so again, that's one of the, you can say, guides I channel, but I can channel anything. And just so this is like a bonus, right? Once you understand how this process works, right now I'm teaching something really specific, wealth consciousness. Okay, but you can take that method to anything that you want, like anything that you want to access, any consciousness. Remember, same fabric, any consciousness that you want to access, you really can. Like, I mean, I don't advertise this, but I can connect with, gemstones. I can ask each gemstone how it wants to be used. The rocks have a lot to say, or plants, right? Some people can talk to animals, but remember, it's all part of the same consciousness. I can talk to all the individual angels, archangels, and they're hilarious. The angels are hilarious. It's the same, okay? It's literally the same. And once you recognize that they're just like different points on the same fabric, and you become really good at it, you're like invincible. You can do anything, honestly. It's like you have an idea, you can ask them for, information, for tips, for guidance. You can ask a lot of things. But of course, in this container, this 6 months container, we're going to work on your money stuff. Okay, so that's what we're here to do, because I want you to have a focus, not be scattered. We're not going to be talking rocks, talking to rocks all the time. But it's okay. If you have questions about gemstones, you can definitely ask me. But remember, this is a container for you to really expand your consciousness, your own consciousness around wealth, because it's something that you absolutely can access, right? It's not that, oh, you grow up in a poor family, then you don't have access to it. It's your right, and you should feel that it's my right to become a very wealthy individual in this life. Okay, and with that, I'm finished for today. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, just so happy to see all of you. Again, replay will be up. My team will be sending that out, because I'm going to be taking a shower and getting my insights right now. Okay, see you. Love you.